Welcome all to this panel discussion organized by Confederation of Kerala Sahodaya Complexes, an umbrella organization for all. The Sahodaya Complexes of Kerala committed to handhold CBSE schools in Kerala Federation through its academic and training wing has been instrumental in bringing professionalism to our fraternity. Panel discussion is designed to empower the teachers of CBSE affiliated schools who train students for the CBSE Term 2 examination of Class 10. As all are aware, CBSE has made some fundamental changes in the question paper pattern, which we would be analyzing in detail in the next 30 minutes. I am Lizzie KP, Academic Coordinator, Nirmala Mother Central School, East Fort, Thrissur, as a moderator. And with me in our panel, 3 subject experts as panelists. Mrs. Vasanta Kumari from Kulapati Munshi Vidya Mandir, Pottur, Ms. Jayashree from Navajeevan, Badani Vidyalaya, Trivandrum, and Ms. Preeti M from BVB, Chevayur, Calicut. Hearty welcome to all. The purpose of social science is to provide opportunities for students to develop the attitudes, skills, and knowledge that will enable them to become engaged, active, informed, and responsible citizens. Today, we are going to discuss about what are the changes brought by the CBSE in social science curriculum, changes from last year to this year, chapter-wise weightage of marks and difficulty level, exclusively based on board sample question paper. What are the measures to be taken in preparation of our children? Few tips and tricks to score more marks. When we speak about the changes in curriculum, yes, Preeti ma'am, in economics?
Yes, for this year's board exam term 2, from economics, there are 2 chapters. Lesson 3, money and credit, and lesson 4, globalization and the Indian economy. One more lesson is there in the textbook, but that lesson is not there for the board exam. That lesson, students have to do a project based on the lesson. It is compulsory. As far as concerned weightage, 10 marks weightage is given for economics. Weightage is equally divided to both the chapters. That is, money and credit 5 marks, and globalization and the Indian economy also 5 marks.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. What about Jayashree ma'am regarding geography?
Regarding geography, 3 chapters are for the term 2 board exam. That is minerals and energy resources, manufacturing industries, and lifelines of national economy. Only map work is there from minerals and energy resources. From the other 2 chapters, theory part and map works are there. Weightage is 10 marks, 8 for the theory part, 2 for the map work.
Thank you, ma'am. Vasanta ma'am?
Yes.
In respect to history and politics and its weightage.
Okay. Regarding history, for this term, we have to take 2 chapters. That is from section 1, nationalism in India, then from section 2, age of industrialization. And this age of industrialization is assessed in the periodic test, and it will not be evaluated in the board examination. And board assessment is done only for the lesson nationalism in India, and 10 marks weightage is given for this topic. And from politics, we have 2 chapters, lesson 6, political parties, and lesson 7, outcomes of democracy. And the weightage given for political science is 10 marks, which is equally divided between 2 chapters, 5 marks for political parties and 5 marks for outcomes of democracy.
Thank you, ma'am. When we look into the changes from the last year to this year, the course structure is bifurcated into 2 terms. First term, 40 marks for written plus 10 marks as internal. Second term, 40 marks for written plus 10 marks for internal. First term was based on objective type of questions like MCQ, assertion and reasoning, and case study. Now in second term, there is a drastic changes are made. This term is based on descriptive type, 2 marks, 3 marks, 5 marks, case study for 4 marks, and map question for 3 marks. When we take the sample question paper, Sample question paper, it is divided into 5 sections. That is A, B, C, D, and E. All questions are compulsory. Section A, it is a very short answer questions. In questions from 1 to 5 carries 2 marks and word limit is 40 words. No internal choice. Yes, Vasudha ma'am. How about the question in section A? How is the difficulty level? What type of question can be expected in section A?
Yeah. Difficulty level as a whole, when we see the question paper, 50% of the question, it is average students can appear. Then 20% you can say it's hard questions, which can be done by extra, extra smart students. Then 30% you can say it's a good questions, which can be above average students will be able to do well. Then when we talk about history, very short answer type of question, there is only one very short answer type of question. And this short answer type of question can come under different question tags like differentiate, explain, analyze, how, why, all these type of questions can come. And whenever we are writing the answers, we have to give 2 relevant points with a brief explanation of each, very brief explanation of each point. For example, you can say, how was Rowlatt Act opposed by the people in India? Explain with example. For such a question, 2-mark question, we can talk about Gandhiji's plan for a non-violent civil disobedience against the Rowlatt, that is this black act called the Rowlatt Act, and how they organize, that is rallies and the workers' strikes. Then they can take points like how they reacted against this on April 10th and what was the way, how the repression carried out by the British and the retaliation against the repression. Same way, April 13th, Jallianwala Bagh meetings, then the repression and the retaliation against the repressive measures. So any 2 points they can explain. Then about from politics also, there is only one 2-mark question. That is very short answer type of question. This can also come under question tags like what, explain, analyze, give reasons, how, why, etc. For example, if question from political parties, you can say dynastic succession is one of the most serious challenge before the political parties. Analyze the statement. If such a question comes, we can first give an introduction like that, know how the political parties fail to follow the procedures in a very transparent manner for the internal elections and all. Then you can say that only the top positions of the party, it is controlled mainly by the members of the same family. So the next point, you can give the chances of the common workers or the real genuine workers in the political party, their chances of coming to power is highly limited. So like that, if you are explaining that, major points could be covered over there.
Thank you, ma'am. Preeti ma'am, what about economics?
As far as concerned, very short answer questions. This section A consists of 5 questions. Question number 1 to 5 are very short answer type questions of 2 marks each. There is no internal choice. And 1 question will be coming from economics. Then what type of questions students can expect? That is contrast, classify, state, identify, distinguish, define, etc. For example, state the role of MLC in the economic development. Distinguish between formal and informal sector loans. So here students have to write the answer straight to the point. No need to explain it in detail. They have to write at least 2 points. Consider the word limit, that is 40 words. For example, how do deposits with the bank become their source of income? Banks, answer is, banks charge a higher interest rate on loans what they extend than they offer on deposits. So this difference of interest is the main source of income of the banks. So when such a question comes, students have to write like this in 2 points.
Jayashree ma'am, what about geography in very short answer?
Section A carries very short answer type questions. 2 marks and the word limit is 40. Plan the structure of their answers straight to the points. Only 2 points are needed. For very short answer type questions, compare, give reason, contrast, classify, study the table and answer it. These type of questions will come. As per the sample paper, 2 very short answer questions are there from geography. For example, airways is the most preferred mode of transport in the northeastern state of India. Give reasons to prove this preference. Another question, production and consumption of steel is regarded as an index of a country's development. Examine the statement. These type of questions will come from geography.
Thank you, ma'am. Section B, short answer type questions from 6 to 8 carries 3 marks and the word limit is 80 words and 1 internal choice is given. So for 3 marks, what type of questions can be expected? Jayashree ma'am, in geography?
For short answer type of questions, 3 marks are there and the word limit is 80 words. Minimum 3 points they have to write. What they have to do is paragraph wise they have to write, and each paragraph contain 1 point. For example, this for short answer questions, analyze, criticize, these type of questions will come. Why has Chota Nagpur Plateau region the maximum concentration of iron and steel industries? Analyze the reason. If so many points are there, if a question comes like this, minimum 3 points they have to write and divide it into 3 paragraphs. If they write in that way, surely they can score maximum mark.
Thank you, ma'am. Preeti ma'am, what about economics?
As far as concerned economics, short answer type questions, what type of questions students can expect? That is, examine with examples, justify, relate, support the statement with examples, elucidate, etc. Here, students have to write 3 points. They have to write at least 3 points and word limit is 80. Internal choices, therefore, economics, and 1 question will be coming from economics. And for example, 1 question, focuses of currency have undergone several changes since early times. So here students have to write 3 points. There are many points, but they have to write at least 3 points. Before the introduction of coins, a variety of objects were used as money. For example, very early ages, Indians used grains and cattle as money. Then use of metallic coins made of gold, silver, copper, etc. Then modern forms of currency, paper notes and coins, which are not made of precious metals.
Thank you, ma'am. Vasantha ma'am, based on history and politics.
History and politics, 3-mark question, each from politics and 1 from history and 1 from politics. And as it is said, both for history and politics, we can say different question tags like give reason, examine, elucidate, justify the statement. So this type of questions we can expect. For example, from history, when we are taking from history, a question like this: the high point of Congress activity and nationalist unity were followed by phases of disunity. Justify the statement. If such a question comes, first of all, we have to mention about how the unity was forged under the banner of Indian National Congress and how it was tightened under the leadership of Gandhiji. So unity was forged. Then later on, the next part, but the focus is that they were all with a different set of people. They stood for the independence of India and to free from British rule. That was some unity. But within the united struggle itself, we could see a lot of instances of conflict. So the next area where they have to furnish points like the conflict between the rich peasants and the poor peasants, the Sanatanis and the Hindus, the business class and the workers, the moderates and radicals within the ideological difference within the Congress. So after that, we have to justify that the emergence of nationalism, it is a unity developed with many voices inside. Then once come to politics, examine with the help of 3 examples how the dignity and freedom of citizens are best guaranteed in a democracy. If such a question comes, we have to say about the struggle for women equality, then the laws to support the dignity of women, and there is a space to claim. We cannot say that no, everything is 100% proper, but there's a space to claim it. Then they have to stick on to another point like against caste inequalities and the claims of the discriminated and the disadvantaged. Then they have to say about in a democracy, the public expression of dissatisfaction, that itself is that means the growth of the status of subject to a citizen, that itself is an ability to look critically at the power holders. So such things need to be highlighted over there.
Thank you, ma'am. One more I want to clarify it. Will there be any pictorial representation of questions?
So when we refer the sample papers, we didn't see any such questions this year, but always for a proper understanding of the lesson, it is always better to go through the pictures, and also how these pictures are connected to different aspects given in the lesson. So based on the, if we are connecting it and learning, any cartoon or any picture comes, so we will be able to explain it in a proper way according to the questions.
Thank you, ma'am. When we move on to section C, long answer questions, it carries 5 marks, that is question number 9 and 10. And the word limit is 120 words. Here students have to elaborate the answers to 120 words. And 2 internal choices are given. Yes, Preeti ma'am, please explain how the long answer to be presented by the students.
Long answer type questions carry 5 marks each, and 1 question will be coming from economics. And internal choice is there for economics question. Children here, they should write minimum 5 points, and word limit is not less than 120. Here, students have to explain the given question in detail with examples. Just writing point will not be sufficient. First, they have to first start with the first point and elaborate the point with relevant examples if possible. Then when they write the answer, they have to underline the important points and divide the answer into 2 or 3 paragraphs, so it will be very easy to read and understand. So for one, then students can expect, describe, evaluate, analyze, criticize. Such questions they can expect. So for example, rapid improvement in technologies has been a major factor that has stimulated globalization process. Support the statement with examples. So students have to write 5 points. So first point, rapid improvement in technology has been playing an important role or a key role in encouraging globalization. And improvement in transportation technology has made faster delivery of goods across long distances at lower cost. Then telecommunication helps to contact one another around the world, access information instantly, communicate from remote areas. Then internet helps to send email and voicemail across the world at reasonable cost. Then liberalization. With liberalization of trade, businesses are allowed to make decisions freely about what they wish to import or export. So many points are the students should write at least 5 points.
Thank you, ma'am. Jayashree ma'am, based on geography.
For long answer questions, 5 points they have to write, and the word limit is 120 words. Analyze, criticize, explain with example. These type of questions will come. They have to divide points and elaborate the points. In that way, they have to write the long answer questions. For example, analyze the physiographic and economic factors that have influenced the distribution pattern of the railway network in our country. For this question, which places are suitable, which are favorable or unfavorable? For example, northern plains are favorable for rail transportation, but the Himalayan areas or the sandy soils of Rajasthan or the swamps of Gujarat, it's difficult to lay railway lines. In this way, they have to write the answers.
Thank you, ma'am. Vasanta, ma'am, regarding history and politics.
History as such, there is no 5-mark question for this year. But politics, there is one 5-mark question. That too, there is an internal choice. And as both Preeti ma'am and Jayashree ma'am said here, the question that mostly 120, within 120 words, you have to arrange the points. 5 main points with explanation. But I always suggest that a heading with all the sub-points, or heading with an explanation after underlying the keywords, key points, etc. So naturally, that will be easy. So 5 different points with explanation is required. And you can see the question tags, most of the questions that you can see the give arguments, support the statement with examples, evaluate, all these are the different types of questions that you can expect. So for example, from outcomes of democracy, how far democratic system of government accountable to the people? If such a question comes, you have to say that no, accountability, it is the most important aspect of democracy. And you can say about the deliberation and discussion, you can say about the delay, but that delay is worth enough. Then you have to say about the transparency. You have to say about the mechanism to take part in the decision making. Like that, different area you have to explain with required or appropriate explanation under different heads.
Thank you, ma'am. So when we move on to section D, it is case study questions. Questions 11 and 12 are based on case study. 2 case study, each carries 3 questions and total 4 marks for each case study. According to the sample paper, 1 from history and 1 from geography is given. Yes, Vasanta ma'am, over to you. What type of case study can be expected? Is it source-based or textbook-based? How we have to make the students, that is how the students have to prepare for case study questions?
Okay. Case study questions, when we refer the sample paper or even the previous papers, so we get a conclusion that no, the case-based questions, the case is taken from the sources, history sources. History, we have 1 case-based question, and the question is taken, the case is taken from the sources given in the textbook or in the lesson. And but the connected questions may not be. May not be direct answers, you may not get directly from the sources. And some of the questions you can find it as open-ended questions where you can give your own views can be given over there. So when we prepare it, always prepare in such a way that if you are reading the source, always connect it with the area that is related to that particular source. So if you are preparing in that way, through the understanding of the topic, if you are preparing, it will be much easier for them to address the open-ended questions or little higher order questions connected to the case-based.
Thank you, ma'am. Jayashree ma'am, what about geography?
For geography, normally that case study comes from the text. the students have to do is read the case study and the questions carefully. Read 2 or 3 times. That's very important. Identify what are the issues there in the case study. Then link the theory to the practice. If they move like this, easily they can write the case study questions.
And I have a doubt, miss. Even manufacturing industry, we have iron and steel processing flow chart is there for iron and steel as well as for aluminum processing. Last year it was deleted. This year, should we give revision for that? Because is there a possibility of asking question for case study?
Anyway, I practiced my students. Sometimes questions may come from that area.
Okay.
I told my students to read that area, study well that area also.
Even in the textbook, isn't it? The same way, database questions also, economics. We can expect more database questions also, isn't it? Preeti ma'am?
But sample paper, it was not there. Only from geography, it was, I have seen geography only, ma'am. We can expect, but students can expect that also.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So next section 5, that is map question. Question number 13 is map-based question. It carries 3 marks, 1 mark for history and 2 marks for geography. Yes, Jayashree ma'am, how can we make our students to score full marks for map question?
From geography, 2 marks are there for the map work. And 3 types of maps will come. That is labeling, locating, and identification. What the children have to do is, while they are studying the map, study the states also. For example, the important seaports in India. If they study from the western coast to the eastern coast, that is Kandla in Gujarat, Jawaharlal Nehru Port in Maharashtra, Mamagaon in Goa, New Mangalore, Karnataka. If they study in this way, surely they will get maximum mark for map work.
Thank you, ma'am. Vasudha ma'am, regarding history.
History, it's a very easy way. It is very easy for them to score from history. Mainly, very limited maps are there. Comparing to geography, very limited places they wanted to remember. And in sample paper, it is given only for identification. But I always feel that when they are learning, it is better they learn to locate, label, everything. Because very less is given over there. And when we classify the maps, we can say that in Indian national movement centers, 6 places are there. And the conversation, the places, 3 places are given over there. So altogether, they have to learn only 9 places in history map. And while learning map, as Jayashree ma'am said, the places, they have to well connect it with the states. Then here in history, they have to connect it with the event also and the year, event, and the state. Then take some easy memory tips. For example, they can take it as, see the Satyagraha movements carried out by Gandhiji, places where Satyagraha movements carried out by Gandhiji. So they can remember A, C, and K, A, C, K. A stands for Ahmedabad, Mill Worker, Gujarat. Then C stands for Champaran, Indigo, Bihar. And K stands for Kheda, Peasants, Gujarat. So like that, they can connect it. Then the next 3 places, it is important centers of Indian national movement. They're also common. A, C is there. A, C, D. A, C here, A and C stands for Amritsar, Jallianwala Bagh incident, that is Punjab. Then Chauri Chaura, calling off of the non-cooperation movement in Uttar Pradesh. Then Dandi, either it can be the beginning of the civil disobedience movement or about Salt March. then Gujarat. So ACK, ACD. So that centers of international movement is over. Next come, when we are arranging it, conversations, we are arranging it in a descending order. So we can put it into M and C. For example, 1927, Madras session, M. Then 1920, December, Nagpur session. 1920, September, that is, you can say, Calcutta session. So M and C. So three things they have to remember: ACK, ACD, M and C. History map is over. Very easy to score.
Thank you, ma'am. Well said. I think the students can score full marks this year for social science. So when we see overall the question paper, in the question paper, no overall choices given for the questions. However, few internal choices given for few questions. So now what measures to be taken in preparation of our board exams? What measures is Vasantha ma'am?
Yes, measures, we have to no compromise with reading. Read and read and read, because it's a reading subject. And we have to familiarize with the students have to familiarize with every nook and corner of the textbook, with all the pictures, with all the tables, then maps, cartoons, sources, in-text questions, geography, history, and all many in-text questions are geography and economics, you can see. And you can see a lot of extra questions. Then while reading also, they have to read it in a systematic way by taking notes, that is note taking, with the key words, key concepts, main points, important terms, new terms, etc. Then again, next level of learning is note making. With whatever knowledge we gain, we are arranging it with the headings, subheadings. We are arranging the points under each headings. It is almost like keeping folders in the computer. As we are keeping folders file, in the same way, we have to keep it into under headings, subheadings, subpoints, points, subpoints, etc. Then they can use the memory techniques like the concept map, table making, then mind map, etc. in order to make their retention a little more easier and comfortable. Then next is the final stage. What is that? Practicing the question paper. Question paper discussion to make them familiarize with the different question tags, how to go about with different question, to find out, to make them understand how to comprehend a question, how to find the focus point of a question. We have to give training for that. Then after that, writing solving the question paper in order to make it a little more time management. So what all points need to be taken within the time limit, how they will be able to, how much time they have to spend on 3-mark questions, 5-mark questions, all map question, all this. They should have a clear understanding of all these things. And this is possible only by solving the papers. Time management is something very important.
Thank you, ma'am. Jayashree, ma'am.
Read the text. Read. Thorough with the text. Before attempting a 3-mark or 5-mark question, decide 3 or 5 points. Start with the first point and elaborate the point. If examples are there, write examples. Divide the answers into either 3 paragraphs or 5 paragraphs. Underline the important points so that it becomes attractive. If they write like this, no doubt, maximum mark they will get.
Thank you, ma'am. Preeti, ma'am, what is your opinion?
Yes, what Vasantha ma'am and Jayashree ma'am said, read the textbook thoroughly. And while they read the textbook, they have to underline or note down the important point. Then they have to go through the previous year's question papers. When we refer previous year's question papers, we can see some questions are repeatedly come. So if they go through the question papers, they can score good marks. Then time management is very important. They should write the answer according to the mark. Write the answer based on the question structure, that wordings that the question starts. For example, state the difference, define. Such person, they have to write straight to the point, analyze the question. they rephrase the question in their own words. So then they have to plan the structure of the answer before they write. So when they write very short answer, they have to write the point, stay to the point, no need to explain. So when in the case of long answer type question, they have to explain it, elaborate it. They have to start with the first point, then explain it with examples if possible. But they have to consider the word limit. Rather than writing the answers in paragraphs, write the answer in points and underline the important points. So this makes the paper very attractive and make it easy for the evaluator to read. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. Can you give some tips for scoring more marks in social science?
Tips as such, no, mainly after all this practice, next is something within 2 hours, how we present ourselves. That matters a lot. So presenting all what they have learned within 2 hours, actually the time management. First of all, pool of time they have to make use very effectively. Effective use of pool of time in the sense, mainly interpreting the questions, for deciding the points, for planning for the arrangement of points, then segregating familiar or easy questions and keeping the tough or the unfamiliar questions. Then again, how to see how much time they have to do for all the, right side, they have to give a margin for writing margin, and 5 minutes they have to allot for that. Then 20 or 15 to 20 minutes before, they have to complete writing. Entire writing should be arranged in such a way that, so the last 10 to 15 minutes they get for rechecking, adding something if they want, they can add on to it. Then relaxed way, 5 minutes they can use for tying the papers, scoring of the sheets, everything. So for everything, this planning is important, so that in a hasty way, if we are doing something, there are chances for, even if we know something, there are chances for leaving out many points from us. So planning, arranging, preparing for that, and training or practicing something very important for them.
Thank you, ma'am. Preeti, ma'am, do you have any contribution for as
what
tips?
Vasudha ma'am said is correct. They have to write the answers. I have told you earlier. They have to write the answers according to the marks. Then explain. Then write in legible handwriting. That makes the paper more easier for the evaluator to read. Then they have to rephrase the question in their own words. They have to plan the structure of the answer before they write.
Thank you, ma'am. Jayashree, ma'am, your contribution?
During the cool of time, 4 to 5 times they have to read the question. After completing the answers, check whether they attempted all the questions. That's very important. Sub-questions will be there, and they have to mark with a pencil a tick mark after attempting a question. Then it is very easy for them to find out whether they are not attempted any question. If they do all these things, surely they will get good marks.
Thank you, ma'am. So from all the 3 subject experts, I like to summarize the measures as well as the tips for the students to score more marks for this board exam. First one, we can familiarize different question tags like examine, justify, elaborate, analyze, criticize, etc. Teach them to start the answer from the questions. Prepare them to write the points in small paragraphs. Teach them to underline the important points. For distinguish between, make them draw columns and write. Map question number to be written on the map and circle it. Note making and note taking enable the students to score more marks. Time management is must. Study through concept map and mind map. Thorough the chapters, thorough your map work. I think we have covered the whole syllabus in 30 minutes. Hope the discussion is useful to the class 10 teachers and dear students. I thank all my panel members for their commitment, and I take this opportunity to thank the Confederation of Kerala Sahodaya Complex for this wonderful initiative. Thank you and wish you all very best. Thank you once again. Thank you.